Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are for round 3 of the Trackstars TS2 Touring Cars. Live as always from the commentary box from myself and Spud. Oh, Ozzy just snuck in there just right. I was about to go green for qualifying. Yeah, we just waiting on 1 or 2 members, so we are a couple of minutes behind. So yeah, fingers crossed we get everyone in, but yeah, TS3's done, TS2 have taken over the pit boxes, and now it's their time to rain on Red Bull Rings Parade. But yeah, as always in the commentary box, in the warmth, as always, is Nick Patasso, mate. Wasn't long ago that we're in here for the TS3, but I've done a bit of roaming and walking around in the TS2 grid, and I'm seeing a couple of different names here in this one.
Yes, good evening, DJ. Good evening, everyone. Here at Trackstars Racing Series, you're talking about reining in all of the drivers and the warmth of Austria. It was forecasted to be torrential rain today, but we're just so blessed and we're so happy enough to be getting some very good conditions here. A bit cloudy. It's not a little bit of sunlight reflecting off the track here and there, so the tyres will still be a little bit slow just to generate temperature, so we'll take a few laps to see some drivers get some blistering pace, and hopefully we might be able to see some good qualifying runs here in this 10-minute session. But yeah, as you said, there are some new faces coming into this top split lobby, so obviously one of them, especially as we saw from the last round, was Roses. We saw Brudnitsky, and we saw Lamb, as well as some of our top performers outside of the top 10, or outside of the top 5, as well as Hall. But unfortunately, Hall is not with us tonight. Maybe he might be able to join us later on in the evening, or maybe he might be able to join in before the end of qualifying. And as well, we have the Split 2 winner in Purton from PH Esports. Put on a very good race, very good performance. Did Purton in Split 2. He managed to beat the drivers such as Breeder, getting a clean sweep at Dragon Trail Seaside. So it's great to see Purton up in the top split in the Trackstars TS2 touring cars, but leading the way in this qualifying session. I think the most important thing is we have to recognise here, Ryan, that in the championship stakes so far, the top 2 in the championship are not here tonight. So the driver that could be walking away with the championship lead could be the Lexus driver in Lashbrook, or potentially Crestdale.
Yeah, so that's pretty massive there, but it's actually oh yeah, top 2, sorry, because Sirik did pull his entry from the series. But yeah, it's a massive one there. We don't have Aiden in Captain Muffin, and then obviously we don't have Mitch Curry. So as far as he knew, it was going to be wet, so he pulled his entry pretty early, and then obviously had some family stuff going on. But yeah, he's not here, but I'm predicting a new championship leader here. But whether or not it'll be Lashbrook, Crestdale, Sandwith, Lamb, who knows? We might even have Scott Taylor come through in the 420 Lexus for WTC Racing. But I'm excited to see here, and I wonder if the racing might be a little bit closer this week, rather than having, you know, Hosking and Halton just buzzing away from the field. And yeah, I think yeah, I reckon it's going to be exciting. And obviously in the 2016 cars too, they're a little bit faster than the 08, but they are still roughly about on par with the times. I think they're about a second, well, 1.2 faster.
And you have to really thank that because of the heavy aero package, as we were discussing at the end of the TS3 broadcast. The aero package between the 08 and the 2016 cars is a massive difference between the two, and you know, obviously there are some strong advantages going into the 2008 car with a track like this. It will really be able to perform well above like TS2 pace. We even saw some lap times with, I believe, with Jeff Bruin. He was almost setting lap times as relative to the lap times that we're seeing in TS2 pre-qualifying as well. So, you know, the times are relatively similar. They've both got the same balance of performance specifications that Gran Turismo 7 provide us here at Trackstars Racing Series, so they're quite on par. So you could even say, in a way, a couple of drivers in TS3 could potentially even have a run in these two TS2 cars if they are setting very similar lap times. But we've gone through our first phase of qualifying, and so far we have green from CP Motorsports. So this was a very big surprise here, Ryan, with Green. He came in very, very late at Seaside, and unfortunately had to demote himself into Split 2, so we didn't get to see him last time out. And so far, this is the third round of the Trackstars TS2 Touring Cars, and so far he's got it on provisional pole position, but right on his heels is Federico Crestale in second place for MSR, and then Roses behind in third place, and Lashbrook, who will be potentially could be our championship leader at the end of this round, in fourth place for car 11. And Justin 930 as well as you said, like, well, we're missing both Holton, we're both missing Curry. The next two in line that were actually promoted was Taylor and Justin, and it's good to see those guys having to skip through pre-qualifying, and so far they're doing a respectable job so far in 5th and 6th place.
Yeah, they're doing well here, as someone just jumped up into P4. Purden jumps up there, so, and in saying that, just gets demoted down by Sandwich by 0.010. So, but yeah, so Taylor and Baker are doing a pretty solid job there. I don't think Justin was out last round, if I remember correctly.
No, he was there.
He was okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think if he puts in a solid performance, I think he'll be one to watch out for. I think he might be a little bit of a Tony Griffin in the TS2, because we know what pace Justin has, but we also know what pace everyone else has. So yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting here, as we have Green and Crestale separated by less than half a tenth. So actually, it's just over half a tenth. So.
Yeah, and the lap times that Crestale was setting in the practice session and in the practice sessions early in the day was very strong, but wasn't very strong. So we'll be looking to see that classic duel of Nissan versus Lexus. We see Hyperi Roses and Jahan really take the full track limits there on turn 9, gets away with it. So I wonder, it's always a funny thing, every time I see a driver go over the lines, I always think that they're just using that track limits, and I'm expecting a penalty next to their name, but sometimes they just get lucky and the game just doesn't register that. And it's for them, it's like it's just a blessing in disguise that they don't have to cop that half-second penalty. As we see, Lamb has actually gone up into P5, so this is a very nice performance from Lamb. Really struggled at Dragon Trail Seaside, really just copped the back end of that chicane of death at Seaside. Sandwith as well, who's sitting 5th in the championship and the first of the Hondas in the TS2 field. So full credit to where it is for Sandwith, getting that Honda from the It's Racing Esports garage and bringing it back into the TS2 touring cars, and it's performing magic wonders there. So maybe you guys have been able to help Sandwith out. Maybe you throw in a couple of little tweaky upgrades and tweaking the tunes on that car, and potentially, so far it's working for him up in 3rd place.
Well, considering that's the car that Matt Simmons sat in, I'd be surprised if it was a little bit lower. So, but yeah, he's actually the lead Honda at the moment. So we haven't really seen many of the Hondas. Obviously, we have Tristan in the Honda as well. I think we have another Honda in here somewhere.
Yeah, we have
Van
Vuren. Yes, correct. He's one of the other pre-qualifiers. Yeah, one of the other pre-qualifiers that came through is Van Vuren, and as well we had Mackenzie as well as another pre-qualifier that came through. So, and then we had Runinsky as well. Breeder was another driver, and then of course Green. And obviously, it was no doubt that Green wouldn't be able to come through and set himself a good lap time, and he's done a very good job to put himself on provisional pole position, but with a half-second penalty doesn't really help his cause so far. But it's only just over 2 minutes to go, and there's not too much movement going up and down the field yet, but still Green leads the way. We still care to keep our eyes on a couple of drivers. I'm still wanting to keep my eyes on the likes of Breeder, of Burke, and even Crestale, if he'll be able to get himself up onto pole position.
Burke just came through with a 22.9, so he improved his lap because he was sitting down the back. So, but he's down by 0.287 on that one, unfortunately. So he's not on a PB there. But yeah, I'm really surprised on kind of really how spread out this field is at the moment. But as everyone can see, we do have 14 on the grid. Unfortunately, we are missing Hall. So He's a non-starter at the moment. But just looking at this Kiwi Pit Lane Honda, I'm getting real traditional old Repsol vibes from this thing. The old traditional Repco logo, Repsol logo there, where they've taken the Repsol name, got rid of it, and they put Kiwi Pit Lane in there. So I'm definitely liking that livery.
Yeah, like the creativity, and of course the Red Bull Ring is very well known for its MotoGP around this circuit, and they've actually introduced a couple of extra corners on that second straight as they exit turn one. They've put a 2A and a 2B section. Obviously, that was due to because of a huge incident that plagued the 2021 season. Where one of the riders actually just went sailing into the gravel trap up into turn 3 and just absolutely wiping out 2 or 3 riders up to this point here at the top of the hill. As you can see there, it doesn't show it on the game, but if you see it at the track in real life, there is a couple of extra corners there for the MotoGP drivers, just to slow the bikes down, and essentially just for their safety. But yeah, it's great to see that Repsol colour and the Repsol logo being interpreted by the Kiwi Pit Lane team. And it's a very nice job that they've done there. And their livery is a very nice Kiwi Pit Lane livery that they've got going on. They've taken those liveries away from the CP Motorsports garage there. So all the Kiwi Pit Lane drivers have taken some CP Motorsports Honda NSXs from their garage, and they're so far doing a good job. They've got some drivers in Split 2, and they've got Van Beveren in this lobby in Split 1, but currently sitting in last place. But as we are coming up to the end of qualifying, we're seeing some lap times being improved so far by some of the drivers there, but one driver I'm not really seeing too much of is one driver I'm seeing is Lashbrook. He's in 10th place. He hasn't even set a representative lap time whatsoever, so he's coming through. He's going to be on the cusp of putting in a very good lap time. We saw Crestel come across the line. He can't get provisional pole position. He can't get pole position. Green's come through to the start-finish line. He hasn't improved his lap time. Lashbrook is improving his lap time, but he's not getting anywhere near the purple sectors. He's putting personal bests as he's coming through Rin Corner, turn 9, and then coming through the Red Bull Mobile. Really just needs to really attack this last corner and get the traction down as much as he can. Get the power down, coming up to the start-finish line. Can he get himself up further up into the grid? No, he doesn't. So he finishes in 10th. Ryan, so that's a huge surprise for Lashbrook. He's 3rd in the championship and could potentially take the championship away. And then all of a sudden we see up the top of the timing screens there, out of nowhere, Johan in Hyperi Roses takes pole position out of the blue. That came out of nowhere, Ryan. Car 347 on pole position.
Yeah, Roses. He really pulled that out of nowhere.
That's crazy. Yeah. No, I did not expect that. I was calling a green pole position, but that time just popped up with a 21.9. Absolutely incredible pace there for the Lexus drive from WTC Racing. So WTC Racing strike first blood and taking pole position with Green on the comeback in 2nd place, and Cresdale in 3rd with Sandwith, the first of the Hondas, in 4th place. So 3 manufacturers all represented in the top 4, Ryan. So it's good to see 3 brands inside that top 4.
Yeah, I'm actually excited to see what Sandwith can pull out of this Honda, because he's really been a bit of an underdog at the moment. I've never heard of Sandwith or seen him race previously other than this series. So yeah, I'm tempted to see what he can do. He's got our old Hondas, and yeah, not much else. But yeah, I'm happy to see what's potential. But having the difference of the cars there, I think we've got one more car still on a hot lap. I'm just trying to find it. Here it is. Burke. So Burke's still on a hot lap, so that's why everyone's still roaming around at a slow pace. But yeah, we've got Curry in chat saying I'd say Matt Hall is snoozing and missed his alarm because it's currently 4 a.m. in America. So that's more or less what's may have happened here.
That could be potential. We have a lot of internationals, especially in our TS2 lobby. It's absolutely incredible. We've got a Brit on pole position for race 1 of the Trackstars TS2 touring cars. We've got a Malaysian driver in Lam in 7th. We've got a Dutch driver in Breeder in 8th. We've got a, we don't even have a Kiwis on that page. The first Kiwi is Purton in 9th place. And then we have an Indonesian. His flag is Indonesian, but he's actually resides himself in America. So he's an American driver, is Runinsky in 13th place. So, wow, what a mixed up grid there. And I wasn't expecting Roses to be on pole position. That is a huge curveball there for WTC Racing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wasn't expecting Roses to be that far up the grid, but yeah, you know, good on him. And I'm going to be excited to see what we can have into turn one. My apologies, as I am having a very sore throat at this point in time. But we've got Lexus, Nissan, Lexus, Honda, Nissan, Nissan. So yeah, it's definitely a an interesting one here. It's a shake-up of what we got, but yeah, I'm excited to see what's going on.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this first race here at Trackstars TS2 Touring Cars for round 3 for the Styrian Sprint here in the Styrian Hills outside of Spielberg. It is going to be a classic race around here. We saw the TS3 boys go around here in the first couple of corners. It looked very sketchy, looked very hairy, but let's hope that the TS2 boys will be able to show the TS3 how it's done. And as we go to the start grid, it is Jan in first place, then Green, second place, Crestdale, Sandwith occupying the second row, Taylor and Burke on the third. And then we've got Lamb and Breeder, the two internationals on the fourth row. So who will come out of the lead on the exit of turn one? Those lights are about to go out. We've got 5 lights and we are underway. Green flag racing, a great launch there, very squirrely from Roses there on the opening lap there, on the opening sequence of the start procedure. It looks like Green's going to go for an inside move and try to take the lead away from Roses. Looks like he has done as we look to the back of the grid there. Looks relatively clean here, Ryan, so very clean start by all drivers, but so far it's still Roses and Green going side by side, going up into turn 3. Looks like Johan still got the lead as they enter turn 3 for the first time. It's very, very close between those two drivers. Almost got away with it and not without any contact. And so far, all the drivers have been very cautious on this opening lap. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you take the opening couple of corners here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Johan first, Green in second. Sandwith has made a couple of positions. We see Crestdale's lost 2 positions at the start of the race. He's down in the 5th place. Purton's come through and made some great positions on the opening lap there. So this is a very strong run by Purton. He just runs it wide, so it looks like Lamb might be able to create an opportunity and go for a move there. We can see Lashbrook getting caught up on some drivers. And the 3rd place man of the championship has gone spinning round into the infield. That is him out of this race there. We just caught her in the background. We just see a couple of moves. It looks like a bit of nudge there from Justin 930 and Justin Baker. And that is not how it's supposed to, that's not how the story's supposed to go for Lashbrook. Down in 14th place and really on the back foot here, Ryan. His qualifying set it one way, and now his race pace and fortunes have gone the complete opposite direction to what he was planning.
Yeah, definitely. He's unfortunately got that short end of the stick, but we have somebody in the wall here. Lamb, so try and see if we can get a bit of catch on that. Going into turn 1, so maybe he's gone a bit deep.
Oh, I think he looks like he might have just ridden the curb.
Oh, yeah. The curb, yeah. Traditional Red Bull Ring things, mate. Those curbs are definitely not what you want to be hitting. The curbs are just like the AstroTurf. We don't want to hit those.
Absolutely. So yeah, very unfortunate for Lamb. He was running pretty high up. It was actually challenging for Purton for P7, but I'm actually very surprised that Purton's got himself well up the order there. So full credit to the PHE Sports driver. But we've got ourselves a Lexus leading the way ahead of a Nissan GTR and the Honda NSX. The top 3 manufacturers occupying the podium position so far on lap 2 of 12. We've still got a long way of racing to go. We've got ourselves 14 laps around this circuit. Actually, we've got, well, it looks like there's a mistake.
There is.
On the
I am 2 laps short. I'm 2 laps short
go.
by accident, so my apologies for that one, ladies and gentlemen.
So we'll hopefully get that rectified in race 2 there. So that is a So that is all good. So these guys will have 2 laps less to really just digest and think, well, I might be able to just to rest up a little bit longer. But we'll wait and see. So if anyone in the chat just wants to roast Ryan and just say one job, that'll be fantastic. That'll make our day here at Trackstars.
Excuse me, that's not your job, Mr. Spud. You're not meant to encourage that. That's bad influence. As we got Green.
So see him move there for Green. He's trying to find a way past Johan in car 346, and then we've got Green go for an outside move on the exit of turn 4. Try to apply the traction. Rose is he's getting so twitchy. He can't keep that car in a straight line. As we can see, Rose is going for the inside. Green trying to go for the outside move. He's just going to hold back nicely, go for a bit of a switchback opportunity. Can't make it yet, but he's got himself a good exit. Oh, the double that is so close between both Lexus and the Nissan GTR driving right behind there. Sam with third place, watching this battle, thinking, you boys just keep battling, please, because I want to get myself up into that second place. But we have to give full credit to where it's all due. Aussie Hypnotic and Taylor in 4th place there. So this is a very strong run by the WTC racing drivers to have 2 drivers inside the top 4, and that is absolutely amazing by Taylor to be in 4th place. That's incredible. He's gone ahead of Crestdale, who actually out-qualified him, but he's sitting very nicely, and he's pulling a gap over Crestdale, and he's even pulling a gap over Burton in 6th. So if the race stays where it is, obviously he will gain main series eligibility, which he's already done, but this will be good confidence for when we do enduro racing later in the year.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, he's sitting 7th in the championship too, and with obviously Halton and Curry not racing tonight, it may give him that little extra bit of step that he kind of really wanted. But yeah, they're going to be using one of their drop rounds of 2 as 0 points, but we did know that Aiden wasn't going to be here for the whole series. He was just kind of jumping in when he can. So hopefully we can see him on the grid next round. But yeah, it's definitely a bit of a perk up here for Scott, for Taylor. He hasn't had the best run as of lately in the form of this. He didn't really have a good run in the F2. He actually pulled his own entry out of that because he didn't feel it was competitive. So coming into TS2, he's definitely found something there. I think maybe he's given him a little bit more confidence. But probably working with the likes of Ando and Wade in main series, giving him a little bit more confidence on how he can handle the car a little bit better, because he's just done a 22.7, I think he just did. So he's actually lapping the same time as Green and Sandwich in front. But in saying that, Johan has just done a 22 flat, so he's definitely found something in his Lexus that no one else really has. But yeah, I was expecting this to be a little bit closer, but yeah, Johan's just taken off with this one. He's just grabbed it by the horns and said, "Thank you very much, boys, I'm gone."
Yeah, absolutely. You can see in that frame shot there, the top 5 very close to each other, but looks like Roses has got his tyre pressures up into the running sequence. And, as you can see, Crestdale up ahead almost went for a move on Aussie Taylor. Does he pull it off? As Aussie's trying to gather the car back up. I wonder what happened there. I did see Crestdale, as we were switching cameras, go for a full send on Aussie Taylor. Let's see what happens here. Does he pull the car up in time? He just pulls it up. It doesn't make contact with him, so that's actually a fortunate thing there. I think Aussie just got baffled there by how far back Crestdale was, and unfortunately he loses that position to Crestdale. He drops himself down into P5, but it looked very close. But I think he just held onto it. He just got onto the brakes just hard enough to not make contact with Taylor. So Crestdale back up into 4th, Aussie Tomoto to 5th. But we still got some great racing ahead of us. As we saw there, Johan is starting to get those tyres up into the running temperatures, running them in the perfect tyres, in the perfect sequence and pressure-wise. And it looks like he's doing a really good job to pull away from Green. So very unexpected performance here by Johan in 1st, Green in 2nd, Sandwich still holding on very nicely to P3. So all credit to the Honda driver in 3rd place. It's absolutely incredible racing that we're seeing so far with the top 5. But as we look down the grid, we can see Pertson still holding on to P6. He's got himself a half-second penalty, unfortunately, but you can see there's a whole cluster of cars right behind there that is led by Breeder, Burke, and I believe that's Mackenzie, yes, in 9th place. So Mackenzie's come up through the order as well into 9th place. Just has to sit behind Burke and just wait for him to burn that penalty. As we can see there, the Ashbrook again, he's just making mistakes. Mistake on mistake. He's going purple in the first sector, but it's just not the race that he hoped for tonight here, Ryan. He's just going from bad to worse, unfortunately, in race 1.
Yeah, that one there looks like he got on the gas a little bit too much there and just kind of spat him out, essentially. I'm surprised it did it. Granted, he was in second gear, which usually kind of doesn't really happen. In first gear, I can understand, but yeah, second gear coming out of there with traction. I do know he uses, I think, TC1. He's trying to get to the no traction thing, but he's still very comfortable on the TC1. So, granted for that to happen, I'm very curious on what happened. But maybe the overcast, or there might have been like some frost or something like that. I'm not too sure. But yeah, that's definitely an interesting one to understand. But hey, it's GT7. What are we here to understand about anything about GT7?
Absolutely right, and as I look to the secondary cameras, we've got Split 2 running underway. We've got Paul Rudsey in first place, 1.4 ahead of Tristan Mason in second place, and then Kevin Cooper inside the top 3 with Cantwell in 4th, Hedges in 5th, Severi in 6th, Doc in 7th, Scutty 8th, Williams in 9th, and then the late entrant in Calypso, who was in main series last time out that we saw some touring car racing, has dropped himself down to TS2 just to give himself a little bit of a break from main series running. So he's having a bit of a run with the TS2 drivers and running in 10th and last place. But Paul Rudsey in first with about 4 laps to go until the end of that race. But as we cut back to the main screen, it is still Johan leading the way over Greener. This is a very strong performance here by Johan in first place. I didn't really expect it. I mean, I know, as we almost see it, and almost a full spin by Green. That was a close shavings there for Green. That's a hard and mouth moment there for Green. So he might be pushing a little bit too much there. So we saw at the start of the race, Ryan, he was right up on the rear wing of the WTC racing driver. So I wonder if he's used up his tyres and used up the energy too much, that he's just lost ground and he's lost confidence in that car.
Yeah, he has set a 21.876 and then a 22.3 and a 22.5. So maybe the dirty air is coming into play as well. The driver at the pointy end at the moment is obviously Johan in Roses. So he doesn't have dirty air. He just kind of runs his race and sees where we go. But he's setting PBs nearly every lap. So he's consistently putting in the same amount of laps, and at the end of the day, that's kind of really all you need. But I think Green got a couple of half-second penalties as well, so that obviously also came into play. But yeah, it's been good at the moment. But I'm very impressed with Sandwith here up in P3. He's not dropping off. He's keeping with the leaders and also keeping Crestdale behind him, which is probably what he really wants.
Yeah, absolutely. And just set a good time there, 1 minute 22.5, so still a representative lap time by the Honda driver in third place. He gained main series eligibility back at Dragon Trail Seaside, so that's full credit to the man that is in the Honda NSX there. So he's done a really good job. As you see, Breeder's now made a position up into P6. Persons just demoted himself down to P7. He's got his good mate in Mackenzie right behind him in 8th place, whilst he's racing away in Split 1. His good mate in Hedges is 5th place in Split 2. So those two PHE Sport drivers are very good friends, and they're always keeping track of their progress and working together just for a bit of fun, and especially just having a good time here for the racing. But I will say, I'm not seeing too many battle packs compared to what we saw in TS3. It's very well spread out, as we see Van Vuveren unfortunately make a mistake there on the exit of turn 3. That's 3 drivers I think I've caught making a mistake on the exit of turn 3. So I'm not so sure about you, Ryan, and how much running you've done around this track in the dry, but coming on the exit of turn 3, how tricky is it to get the power down? Because it is a very limited, you have very limited grip on the traction zone there on the exit of turn 3.
In regards to dry running, I've done 0 laps. In regards to wet running, I've done quite a few. So, but just from history, you want to kind of straighten up the exit as much as you can. just to try and get the car settled down. But you know, if the car starts to get a real antsy on it, you'll just click it up a gear and chuck it into second and then plan it. So then that way, you know, you're not getting as much torque through the rear diff there. Obviously, these cars are front engine rear wheel drive, but the diff for it will be at the back. So all of the power is going through the two wheels, and you know, you get too much power on it, and you end up spinning. So yeah, I think just keeping the throttle control as well. That's probably the main thing. You know, not planning it to 100% if you're not using traction control or anything like that. You know, just being very smart with it. So, but yeah, as I said, there's a lot of factors there. But yeah, I guess just do what you can and keep on keeping on. I guess.
Yeah, and exactly right, and we just see they, making mistakes in certain parts of the track, turn 3, especially one of them. Unfortunately, another mistake that drivers can make around this circuit are the track limits there. And as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, in the TS3 touring cars, when the Formula One circus came here to the Red Bull Ring, it was basically a menu at an Austrian restaurant of just all the names of drivers in all categories. Rather, I think it was a Porsche Carrera Cup. It was the Formula 3, Formula 2, F1. All the drivers that were just, there was like a huge list of drivers that got themselves over the track limit, had lap times deleted, then they got penalties, and then, 5-second penalties, 10-second penalties, and it was just a whole bombarding of drivers just, etching their names onto the track limits book there on the menu book. So it was very unfortunate to see track limits become a thing in the real world, but in the game as well. It's so harsh, and it's very fine margins there. Roses looks like he's just made a few mistakes in those last couple of laps. That's bringing Green a little bit closer to Rose. I can see that just runs really wide there on the exit of Rauch Corner. He doesn't pick up a penalty there, so very surprising, and even on the exit of Worth. So it could be, I don't know, I have a feeling it could be more or less, maybe it could be like a connection. It could be the way that where drivers are actually, connected to, server lobbies and, lobby hosts that on their screen, they're probably running within the track limits, but when you see them, when you're racing against them, you see them going off the track and they don't pick up a penalty, where you as a driver, you do the exact same thing and you pick up a half-second penalty. So it's a bit of a mix and match on what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, well, obviously with track limits, it works on pixels. So you can essentially think that you're running at the same part of them, but if you run, kind of 1 or 2 pixels extra over that, then you'll get a penalty and they won't. So there's that fine line you want, but you don't want to be kind of running those track limit extremities, lap in, lap out. You kind of want to go a little bit conservative here and there, let the tyres cool down. When they're cool, go for a push lap, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, again, I do apologise for the TS2 for having this at 12 laps. I'll suss it out and see if we're going to go for a longer second race or just 14 laps. So, but yeah, no, it's been a good race so far, and it looks like Johan's going to be on for his first win here. As Johan comes through here through the second last corner. On lap 12 of 12 for the round 3 here, we have a yellow flag.
Oh, as he drifts around the final quarter, takes a victory, takes first place. That is the first victory for the Lexus RCF in the TS2 touring cars. Well done to Johan, and WTC Racing finally breaking the drought of the Nissan GTR in TS2. Takes victory, takes that car into victory lane. We have Green in second and Sandwith in third. So 3 manufacturers inside the top 3 on the podium. That is a great sight to see in TS2 touring cars as everyone else starts crossing the line. We have our top 10 cross the line, and then we just saw Expat and Radinsky drop well down the order in 14th place, going a lap down. Unfortunately, at the end of that first race, we have Van Vuveren in 12th place, and then Lashbrook in 13th place. I would never have said the day that I would be seeing Lashbrook down in 13th place in a TS2 touring car race. That is a massive shock.
Yeah, I'm very shocked seeing Chris down there. But obviously he was involved in some early dramas, and then was never kind of really be able to it was never really able to kind of get back, and then he made obviously one or two more little mistakes, and it was just unfortunate. But that's obviously racing. So realistically now, he's going to start from the back. So I think we're just going to have to get him to strap his belts down, put his helmet on, and start again. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a an interesting one.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the racing has become very interesting. It's very strong, and the competition is unbelievable. We're getting a lot of drivers getting their main series eligibility tonight. Obviously, we saw Aussie Taylor finishing in fifth place. He's already got main series eligibility but as well, that's giving the team some good confidence as a driver that they could use up for the Enduros coming up later in the season. And then Sam with a very good performance in third place to be ahead of Crestdale, who's running fourth in the championship, and Sandwith is right behind him in fifth place. So those two are still fighting it out for the championship. So that's great to see those two. And with Sandwith over Crestdale at the end of that race, I'm very excited to see what race two is going to be like. But there's our results, ladies and gentlemen, as we know our top five. But we've got Breeder coming through in sixth place. Purton couldn't hold on to that, unfortunately. So Purton drops down to position 7. Mackenzie up into 8th place after starting outside the top 10. And then as we go over the page, we had Burke in 9th. Lamb, after that mistake on turn 1 on lap 2, is down in 10th place. Justin Baker in 11th place, and Van Vuveren in 12th. And then we have Lashbrook and Rudinski in 13th and 14th place. So a lot of work to do for Lashbrook in this second race. We have confidence in the man. We know him very well. And he's going to be a driver to keep an eye out for race 2. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be bringing you the coverage of the Trackstars TS2 Touring Cars for race 2 for round 3 very shortly.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, grid set for race 2. I'm excited to see who can get a good start into turn 1 and see what we got there. But we've extended race 2 from 14 laps to 16, obviously due to the 12 lap race 1 shenanigans. So yeah, it's obviously again apologies for that one, but all the drivers are happy to race 16 laps, so we'll go right ahead. But yeah, I think the grid was definitely shaken up there, and you know I'm curious to see where Aiden and Hosking would have finished there. But I think this may elevate Green up as well in the standings.
Yeah, potentially he might be able to get himself inside the top 5 in the qualifying. But otherwise, if he doesn't get himself in the top 5 in the championship, he'll obviously putting on a great performance to skip pre-qualifying this time round. So hopefully for him, on his sake, he might be able to keep a clean head, and if he comes away with an overall round win or second place, he might be able to skip pre-qualifying, and for his case that'll be awesome, because he doesn't want to do pre-qualifying. He's told me in the background he's had enough of it. He doesn't want to be setting lap times. He just wants to be racing hard with the top boys. But here we are for the final race here. It's a 16 lap enduro. It is Johan versus Green on the front road. It's lights out. Green flag racing, a very slow start by Green, but what a start there is by Crestdale, going from 4th to 2nd place. What a start there by the Mash Buzz racer. Takes 2 positions for 1, as we see some contact there between Purton and Mackenzie. Unfortunately there, we saw in the background at the start of the race, we saw Van Ruveren from Kiwi pit lane. He had a very poor start on his end. I think he was facing the wrong direction at the start of the race there, so you might be able to go back once this replay is over to see what happened there, if he got caught up with somebody, because wow, I mean, he was literally facing sideways on that. There you go. So I don't know what happened to him, but yeah, not so sure.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what happened with that one, but yeah, you got damage there. But yeah, that's horrid. But he did start a little bit further up the field, so I'm kind of curious to see what happened with that one. But yeah, Green got a really terrible start there, and he got swamped. But it looks like he's set back in and taken that place back off Crestdale and moved back up into 2nd place. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting one.
Yeah, so Crestdale went from 4th to 2nd on the opening corner. That's a huge jump of positions there for Crestdale to get himself there. But it looks like he did lose that position to Green at the entry of turn 3. So he's lost ground to Green and Johan. But Johan's still leading the way for the WTC Racing Pink 347 in 1st place. Green in 2nd, Crestdale 3rd. It gets in at 1 up on Sandwith, who took 3rd place in race 1. So now Crestdale's up into 3rd. Sandwith demoted to 4th. Aussie Taylor in 5th place, doing a really nice job there. Still holding on to 5th place. And you can still see there as well, the top 5 is really pulling away from the rest of the pack there. So the top 5 pace is actually very genuine pace. And they're really stretching their legs out. Maybe Aussie's coming a little bit under the clutches of Breeder, but Breeder's got a half-second penalty to burn on his end. Purton still holds on to 7th. Burke in 8th place. And unfortunately, we saw there with Mackenzie at the start of the race dropping himself well outside the top 10. And yeah, he's got a lot of work to do in that Steel City MSR. But one driver I want to keep an eye out for is Lashbrook. Where is he in all of this? He's only in 11th place. Picked up a half-second penalty there. So he's going to be burning that off and losing time, and maybe losing position to his teammate in Mackenzie. There he goes. So he's done the right thing, just let his teammate through. But yeah, that's a very, very unlucky start there for Mackenzie, who got inside the top 8 in that first race. Got the short straw, unfortunately, and is down outside the top 10.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened with Lashbrook, but yeah, it's definitely probably a race that he wants to ride off here for this one. With his results at the moment, is probably going to drop him. He probably won't take the lead. I'm probably predicting, Crestdale or Lamb or someone up there like that to do it. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting.
Well, currently on the standings, we have Lashbrook in third, we have Crestdale in fourth, Sandwith in fifth. So if all results stay as they are, we could be seeing Crestdale taking the championship lead, obviously away from both Holton and Curry. Obviously, those two are absent from tonight's race here in round 3 of the TS3 touring cars. So Crestdale will temporarily, you could say in a way, temporarily take the championship lead away from Holton and Curry. But, you know, it begs to mind that you have to be there for every race. You know, you show up, you get points, you get one up on your teammate, you get one up on your rival, and, you know, results come your way. And so he might be coming away with the championship lead, where Lashbrook could have had the opportunity to take that championship lead away from both Holton and Curry going into the Nürburgring 24-hour layout next weekend.
Yeah, that race is going to be interesting. They got 5 laps around there, so I think, you know, it's going to be an interesting one for that one. And then we do maybe potentially have some drivers filling in for main series if they need to. So if they do that, they will be running 15 laps around the Nürburgring. But the other thing is as well, obviously due to the Nürburgring being 127 kilometers, I think it is, and 21 kilometers long, main series format has actually changed up a little bit for next weekend. So I think that may throw a little bit of a spanner in the works, because we are actually bringing in a wild card for main series next weekend. So yeah, that's going to throw one in the works there for the TS2 drivers, because I think they're going to have one of those no holds barred WWE King of the Ring kind of aspect going on there to try and get that spot in the main series.
Yeah, so you got 14 main series eligible drivers that are going to be duking it out in their championship, and then they're going to have a 15th driver, which is the wildcard, as you said. And they're not going to expect a driver. They're going to see that driver, depending who takes the victory, they're going to say to him, like, what are you doing? Like, they're going to say, like, what are you doing here? Why are you in our business? This is main series running. You go back down to TS2. So it'll be very interesting to see who comes through and who pulls out as victor of the Nürburgring sprint. And, you know, we're very excited to see who can come out on top of that. As we see Crestdale with a half-second penalty. I did see there Taylor in 5th place. He's also got a half-second penalty, and he's coming under the clutches of Breeder right behind in 6th place. So this is a very nice recovery drive here for Breeder. He did pick up a half-second penalty himself on the previous lap, but he's just still able to maintain the gap and the pace with Aussie Taylor in 5th place. As contact is made between the two drivers, he pulls up and redresses that. So very nicely done there by Breeder. He knew he was in the wrong and he just pulled the car up just to give him the space, and that's great class driving there by Breeder from Robbo Sport Racing. Right behind there is Purton in 7th. He's also got a half-second penalty over his head, unfortunately. So watch for Breeder to come through, take 5th place away from Aussie Taylor, and it's all up to Taylor to really, you know, stay with Breeder, because we know how fast Breeder is, especially in a Formula car, but we'll be interested to see how fast he is in a touring car later as this season evolves. Crestdale serving his half-second penalty, and Sandwith is right up into his rear wing now. So going into turn 1, Nicky Laudercurve, that's right on board with a Honda NSX driver as he enters through to turn 1. Nicky Laudercurve, a very nice entry there. It's a very long run going up into turn 3. Well, yes, I say turn 3 because this little kink here, right on the left-hand side right now, that's considered a corner. It's turn 2, but coming up to turn 3, Remus uphill braking, but with a tailwind going up the hill. That'll prove very tricky for all the drivers as they are trying to make overtakes and, you know, essentially just line themselves up for a move. And then into turn 4. And Scholosgold in turn 4, another great opportunity for an overtake, and then coming through into this section, turn 5 and into turn 6 through Rouch Corner, the double left-hander where you just have a little bit of left-hand cornering, straighten the car up as much as you can, run the car wide on the AstroTurf, not too much because you need the entry into Worth Corner, turn 7, and then into turn 8. A nice long run, and just a little bit of a sigh of relief, a little bit of a breather, because you've got 2 fast right-handers coming up. Turn 9, Rint Corner, that's done. Don't run the car too wide, a half-second penalty will await your name. And then turn 10 through Red Bull Mobile. Don't extend that, because then another half-second will come through. You can gain a full second of track limit penalties, and that's what you don't want as a driver. So that was a very nice lap there by Sandwith. You could see there the different car behaviours and different driving styles for the two cars. Sandwith is a little bit aggressive on some of his entries, while with Crestdale just a little bit smoother on the input, maybe a little bit cautious through corners, but he's still able to get that car, that traction down very effective, and that's why he's still holding on to third place.
Yeah, definitely. Crestdale's been in the Lexus quite a lot. He's been in it for 2 years, so if anyone in TS2 is happy with the car, it's going to be Crestdale. So he does have the old MSR Lexuses from last year. Obviously, they changed the aero package by reducing the wing and gave him that one. So he's probably got a bit of good luck there from yourself. I don't know whether it was your 32 or Pat's 45. So it's still carrying the traditional main series Mash Buds Racing livery, what I call the beach, because it looks like the water and then the sand and clouds there with the traditional theme. So yeah, I think it may be good on his behalf. He did pull out of the series when he was leading to a couple of years ago, obviously to focus on some personal things. But yeah, I think he's doing well at the moment, and definitely he's probably a bit of an underdog, but not really. He does have the reputation behind him to take it out. So.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so he's got the experience, he's got the wise head, and yeah, he'll know when to pick his battles and who he'll pick his battles with throughout the whole season. So, as we said, he could potentially be leaving this round as the new championship leader away from Holton and Curry and even Lashbrook, who's sitting in 10th place. So he's just made himself inside the top 10. I did notice there, Burton has dropped down out of the top 10, and I saw Burke as well drop outside of the top 10. So maybe a bit of contact. Maybe it could be just a little bit of could be an interesting story that maybe there was a bit of contact between Burton and Burke, because they were both running close quarters to each other only a few laps ago. So I'm very interested to see what happened there as I look to a later replay on what happened with those two drivers. But the main focus here is the top two still pulling away from Crestdale, but crucially, Green's got himself has a half-second penalty next to his name there, and he didn't serve at that lap, so he's got another lap to do. So he has to really, really push that Nissan GTR, get right underneath that rear wing of Johan's 347, so that way when he burns that penalty, he won't lose too much ground. Because then again, if he does go wide, Roses just saves the car there. Wow, that was a close quarters there for Johan in first place. Green still holding on there, still tucked into that slipstream. Even potentially, even if he goes for a move, and if he passes Johan, he might be able to gain a couple of tenths on Roses, and Roses really struggling, and so is Green, but I think he's got better traction over the Lexus drivers. They come down into turn 4, a crucial overtake that could be made for Green there. He's going to go for the outside line. Roses cuts him off very aggressively there. Roses still holds on to first place. Green right behind in second, so probably wasn't expecting that gap to close quickly. Roses still in first, Green in second. Very close racing between these two. Green looking to try and find any opportunity to make a move on Roses, really startle him, so that way when he serves his penalty, he won't be too much of a loss here. But there he goes into the burn zone right now, loses half a second there, and let's see what the gap is as they exit turn 9 and 10.
Yeah, it's gone onwards of 9, 10s, probably. Yeah, it's just gone to a second, but then Green's made an amazing exit out of that last corner, and he's pulled nearly 2 tenths back on Johan just from that front straight. So, gee, that exit speed there. Oh, yeah!
He's really pushing that Lexus there. I won't be surprised if he picks up the penalty, but I think he's been saved by the GT gods. But this is a battle for P1 here, and potentially could be the round victory for Green in second place. He needs to get himself past Roses. He needs to get himself a victory for CP Motorsports. He hasn't taken a victory yet, ladies and gentlemen. We had a great battle with Mitch Curry in the opening round at Deep Forest Raceway, and then unfortunately missed Dragon Trail Seaside and raced in Split 2. So now we're seeing the full credentials of what Green could do in that CP Motorsports entry. It's a battle between Lexus and Nissan for the race victory here on lap 10 of 16. It is a longer race, ladies and gentlemen, so we did say we did have a miscalculation on the lap time but we have gone 2 laps, we've gone 4 laps extra rather in this race, and we're seeing some great racing, some great strategic racing amongst all the drivers. Sandwith still holding on to 4th place, got himself a good margin over Breeder, who's picked himself a half-second penalty, so potentially we're going to be seeing Taylor taking back 5th place as we go on board with the man in car 420. It's going to be very close. Oh, he just holds on, but he's
crisscross.
He's gone for a switchback move there. A bit of contact made between the 2 drivers, but well-respected room there made, and what a move by Aussie Taylor from WTC Racing. Hats off to the man in car 420. That was a spectacular move there, Ryan. Take us through that.
Oh, you know,
I think Breeder spun it, unfortunately. I did see that, yeah. I just caught a little glimmer there, a little glimpse there, but I think he took too much curve there, Ryan.
Yeah, that move there through turn 10 and 11, he Breeder went for a real wide entry there, but it looks like it unsettled the car. So yeah, very unfortunate. But yeah, no, there was a bit of netcode from what I could see, obviously with Breeder and Aussie Taylor being from Australia and overseas. So GT7's fantastic. Sometimes even people from the same country can't even connect to each other. So looked like a bit of netcode, but there was still racing room given, which is good, and that's probably the main thing. But yeah, they're definitely giving it to each other. But the other thing is, the only way for Green to get the round win is if Roses finishes 3rd. So even if Green takes the win in this race, because Johan qualified in front of Green. Oh, he's gone for it.
He's gone for the move. It's a switchback move, a classic switchback move there by Johan. This is some great racing, ladies and gentlemen. As we cut to the replay, our cameraman can't contain his excitement for the battle of the lead there. You can see there, Green in the rear vision mirror, just using that slipstream to his advantage, just broke a little bit too deep, and that is a very picturesque switchback move made by Johan. He still holds on to 1st place as we cut back onto the main camera. It is Johan still in 1st place. Green is still battling him out. He's going to go left. He's going to go right. He fakes the move. He goes for the inside line. That has caught Roses by surprise. He's trying to park it on the apex, and Green has spun the car. Oh, there's a contact made between Johan and Green at the exit of turn 4. Oh, the car 232 did a dummy, Daniel Ricciardo dummy that he does at Monza. He almost pulled the car up there. Looks like a little bit of contact there. And, oh, that is a tough call there. Maybe just a little swipe and then maybe... what's going on here? We see some contact made between both Roses and Green. As we can see there, Roses has actually pulled off and it's actually given the position. He was trying to give the position back to Green there. Oh,
Green just got real antsy. He drifted there.
Oh yeah, he just drifted through that corner, unfortunately.
No hard feelings there, but a lot of respect there to Johan for redressing that. He obviously felt that that was his fault. Probably pushed him a little bit wide there. Didn't give him as much racing room as he probably should have. But yeah, a lot of respect there for Roses. But Green makes a mistake through turn 1. It's just gone from bad to worse.
Yeah, I was just going to say, bad to worse for Green, unfortunately. So the 2 that were battling it out for 1st and 2nd are now 3rd and 4th place. Green with a horrible entry into turn 1 and catches the curb, and that's him out of the race, down in 9th place under the clutches of Van Vuveren and Luminous from Kiwi pit lane. He might lose another position there. He holds on, but that is a huge mistake there. That was very, very unlucky there for Green and Rose as well. So that was a great battle that those 2 were having throughout the whole race there, Ryan. Even in race 1, those 2 just couldn't be separated at all.
Yeah, they were doing an outstanding job. That was an awesome battle there. But with all this happening here, we've had Lashbrook move up into 7th. So he's got past Baker, got past Green, obviously past Burton, Breeder. Looks like he's had a bit of he had that spin 2 laps ago. So yeah, that's a lot of drivers that you would think that would be up the front. Burke especially as well. They're down the bottom 50%. So I'm surprised at how this race has gone. But Red Bull Ring never fails to excite people. So I'm definitely glad there.
And out of all of this, we have Crestdale leading the race on lap 14 of 16. Sandwith in second place. He wasn't even expected to be up into P2, so this is a huge result for both Crestdale and Sandwith. In second place, Roses is still in third place with the potential of the Stewart's inquiry with that incident. We'll find out very shortly what happens there. So he's still in third place. Aussie Taylor is moved up into fourth. And then we have Lamb inside the top 5, but not far behind him is Mackenzie. So Mackenzie could, if he's close enough to HPR, he's another driver that hasn't gained main series eligibility. Mackenzie in 6th place, so, and he could be getting himself quite close. I need to see if we can find a camera on Mackenzie in 6th place and see how far away he is from Lamb. No, he's a bit of a distance behind Lamb, seconds, unfortunately, yeah. So, if he was closer, that would have been a very nice finale for Mackenzie, because he's another driver in the MSR family that hasn't gotten main series eligibility. So he's still pushing for that top 5, and if he can push through for a top 5, that'd be really cool. He's just waiting a mistake for either Aussie Taylor or Lamb to make a mistake on the final couple of laps there. He was blessed by Roses and Green making a mistake. That's why he's up into P6. But he's got the pressure now from his teammate in Lashbrook in 7th place, and Lashbrook will want to take that P6 away from Mackenzie. But it is going to be very close quarters here. As we see the battle for 4th place brewing as well. Aussie trying to defend from Lamb in 5th place, and with all this battling, it could bring Mackenzie in. So don't count him out just yet. It could be close at the end of this race.
Yeah, I think it could be close between Taylor, Lamb, Mackenzie and Lashbrook, if they can catch him. You know, if Taylor and Lamb keep fighting, then that's going to bring the other two in. But I think maybe with 1 and a bit laps to go, it may be a little bit too much of a stretch. So, yeah, unfortunately, we did have Radinsky drop out due to his rig double downshifting, which is probably not what you want in these cars. You know, you don't want to be going from 6th to 4th or from 4th to 2nd when you want to take it in a 3rd gear corner. So yeah, unfortunately for that one, bit of a hardware failure, but I guess that's racing. So hopefully he gets that one fixed for next round at Nürburgring. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for the next round. But this battle here is one to keep an eye on. But yeah, Crestdale's really charged out in front, but you know, He's counting his lucky stars there, but that's all it takes, Ryan. You have to wait for those opportunities. I mean, you can make them yourself. You can really push through for a victory, but he just waited for the opportune moment that Johan and Grebe were battling each other. They battled each other too hard, and now he's come through to P1. Yeah, you know, you got to take him when you can, and you know, I definitely do. Anytime you can do it. I do that, so yeah, but his Sandwith has really impressed me this round so far. You know, he wasn't up that high last round, but you know, he did get eligible in what would be round 2, I think it was, or if not, it was his debut. So yeah, he definitely impressed me with that one, but you know, Crestdale has taken this one by the horns and shown it to his boss.
So the veteran of Trackstars TS2 Touring Cars comes around the final corner, takes victory for the first time in season 2023. The Ultipack driver takes victory in race 2 of round 3 of the TS2 Touring Cars. Crestdale first, Sandwith second, take a bow, son. That's his highest position he's scored in TS2 Touring Cars. Roses still holds on to P3, potentially a question mark over his name. Aussie 4th, Lamb 5th, Mackenzie just short of eligibility inside the top 5, and then we have Lashbrook, Baker and Green, unfortunately in 9th place, where we saw Roses and Green battling it out for the lead, ladies and gentlemen, and unfortunately all came undone with 3 laps to go. It's so unlucky for the both WTC and CP drivers that they're well down the order there, but full credit goes to Crestdale, minding his own business and coming out with victory tonight.
Yeah, he's done well there, and I'll definitely be keen to see on where that puts him in the standings. I think he may end up with a P2, and Johan will get the round win. Granted, he got a 1st and a 3rd, obviously pending Steward's review, but he did redress that to to Green. So he's done well. He's done what he needed to do, and definitely good on his behalf. So, but yeah, I'm keen to see. We may even see Sandwith get the round wins. So we'll
Yeah, potentially.
wait and see for that one. But yeah, no, that was a good round there. But look at this Lexus domination, mate. I think what does everyone say? Everyone cries bop. So, mate, where's the bop? Where's the even bop? Come on.
I'm sure you guys have had your fun in the Nissan GTRs, and it's good to see the Lexus on top in both TS3 and TS2, ladies and gentlemen. So that's 4 victories out of 4 for the Lexus brand here with the GT500s at Trackstars Racing Series. It is Crestdale taking the victory ahead of Sandwith in second place, Roses in third, Taylor fourth, and Lamb occupying the top 5. Mackenzie just misses out on eligibility in 6th place, and then Lashbrook in 7th. And as we look down to that second page, Green in 9th place. He's still set the fastest lap there. You don't get points of fastest lap, unfortunately, but it could have been, and probably should have been a race victory on Green's side of things.
Yeah, definitely. I think Green could have really taken that out. He dropped off a little bit to Johan in the start, but then he jumped back up and got really on the back of him there. So, he had the talent and the speed to do it. So, it's definitely obviously unfortunate that he didn't get the race win. So, but well, I guess that's racing, and you got to take them the good with the bad, and unfortunately for this one, come with the bad. But still valuable points for Green, obviously getting a P2 and a P9, so that's what matters for him.
Absolutely right. So well done to both Johan and Crestel taking victory tonight. But again, it is time because we are at the end of the stream. I will also mention an honourable mention to the split 2 running. Paul Rudsey actually managed to take victory in race 2. So he's done a clean sweep yet again. So 3 rounds and 3 clean sweeps in split 2. So it just definitely shows that the split 2 winner. If we saw them in the main split, that would have been absolutely incredible to see what their pace was like. But it was great to have 24 drivers in all categories tonight in both the main lobby and the second lobby. So we thank our TS2 drivers so much for putting on a show and giving us some awesome racing here. But it is time to give out our Driver of the Day award here, and I think you might be able to agree with me, Ryan, but you might not. I'm gonna go against my guts and go against my biased opinions, but I'm actually gonna give it to Sandwith. I'm gonna give Sandwith my Driver of the Day. Flew under the radar, done a great job. He's done a fantastic He's had a fantastic performance, finishing ahead of Crestdale in race 1. Unfortunately, it just finishes behind him in second place. But I can see these two battling it out in at least for the top 5 or the top 3 potentially in this year's TS2 Touring Cars Championship. So well done to Sam with second place, potentially third, fourth place overall at the end of this round. But is a worthy Driver of the Day in my view.
Yeah, no, mate, I didn't even need. As soon as you said it, you think we're going to be on the same page. We're definitely on the same page. You know, Crestdale has been essentially top 5. TS2, F2, main series, this and that, over pretty much the course of his racing. We know what Johan has, but yeah, the definite standout for me for that one would be Sandwith. So he definitely pulled the pace out of that car, and as you said, flew under the radar and got the results. So yeah, definitely driver of the day for me. We'll go to Sandwith there, but yeah, take that one, mate. We don't get you don't get driver of the day as much. You're fighting with another 14, 15 other people in the grid. So yeah, it's definitely one to take. And yeah, you didn't get fastest lap. I think what was that? He was fourth fastest there, and he still came through with the P2. So that's probably the main thing. But yeah, no, definite good work for him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done a fantastic job to get himself that great result. That's his best result so far besides taking with being one position short from taking victory. So unfortunately misses out, but he will get to try his luck again. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the Track Stars Racing Series YouTube. Please, if you have enjoyed this stream, please follow us on all social medias through Facebook, Instagram. Join our Discord if you want to be a part of the TS2 Touring Cars field, and maybe you might be able to challenge the boys in the top split of TS2 Racing. But that is going to be us here tonight. Like and subscribe this YouTube channel and keep your notification bells on for all of touring car racing. But next week, we go to Germany, Ryan. We are going to the Nürburgring, the 24-hour layout. We are very excited to bring this coverage. Who can take victory in the TS2 touring cars, and who will gain that special wild card entry into the main series later that evening? So stay tuned at 6 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time next Sunday, where we bring you round 4 of the TS2 Touring Cars. But on behalf of myself, Nick Patasso, and Ryan Palmer, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in Germany.